Welcome to Health versus Wealth with Dr. Ben, where each week it's my great pleasure to meet fascinating people who tell us about the challenges they're facing with their work-life balance. I'm Dr. Ben Sinclair, and I wonder, do you struggle with your priorities? On the one hand, focusing on your work, business or career, namely your wealth, or on the other hand, looking after your health, which is so important. Over the past 20 years as a GP, I've seen many people spending too long on their screens, cutting corners on their sleep, diet or exercise. The result? Their work life's going well, but their health can suffer. I sincerely hope that my guests' personal and professional experiences may help you to improve your own health and life. Today I'm joined by Rob Butler. He is an entrepreneur in the health and wellness sector and he's based in Solihull. Rob, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Thank you.
And I'm really interested because we have a lot of similarities, and you founded your first multidisciplinary centre in Solihull just before lockdown.
Just before lockdown, yeah. It was an interesting time. I opened it on the November in 2019. Yeah, so invested a lot of money into it, and then obviously, 5 months on, COVID happened.
And that was a shock, wasn't it?
Yeah, I say it was a shock. In a way, it was a bit of a blessing, because at the same time, if I'm holding my hands up, I go, I'd never ran a business before. I didn't know what I was doing. And it gave me that time as well to go, what was I strong at and what wasn't I so good at?
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's an interesting separator, the lockdown, wasn't it? Some people thrived, some people fell apart.
Yeah.
Why did you set up this centre? Because it's a really interesting concept. I want to hear more.
I set it up through my own experiences, if I'm being honest. I've suffered with anxiety a lot throughout my life. Still do. But, you learn ways of managing it, I suppose, a lot better. But experiences as a child as well was a really big part to play, and I just wanted to help as many people as I can, just not feel as anxious or down as I did for so long, I suppose.
That's brilliant. Now I want to come back to your past experiences and how they sort of transformed this, but what sort of people come to you at Try Wellness, and what sort of clients do you help?
A variety of people, really. The idea was that I wanted to set up a centre that created a calm and relaxing environment, but people could come for multidisciplinary services. So, they can come for psychotherapy, psychology, which really helped me in the past, personal training. Yeah. I am a personal trainer. We have a few other fantastic personal trainers that work for us, group exercise classes, nutritional services, the list goes on.
So you've got quite a wide range of these multidisciplinary offers for your clients. And I guess you mentioned that you'd had some challenges in the past. How does that help you, do you think, with people who you're helping with their challenges? So
when I was younger, my mother was an alcoholic, and she would have drank for as long as I could have remembered, and it caused there was a lot of physical abuse for me and my two siblings, along as some sexual abuse as well, which I'm not going to dive too deep into, but it left me with a lot of anxiety moving forward in my life that I didn't quite recognise, I don't think, at the time. It was more so as I got into my teenage years and early 20s. I'm 31 now.
Okay.
It really didn't manifest, I suppose, the anxiety, or I didn't recognise it until maybe I was a bit more self-aware.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would repeat the same patterns throughout my life, especially in relationships, I suppose, out of a lack of trust with individuals. But that was coming back down to myself, I think, with low self-esteem and insecurities. And, that then goes on and on and on. And unless you learn about yourself, unless you understand yourself and understand why you're doing them patterns, I suppose you're never going to fix them, are you? So, yeah.
Awareness is the first steps to recovery, isn't it? Wow, that's massive. And what I love is that you found that awareness,
Yeah.
and you're hoping to help other people find that awareness, but in loads of different ways.
No, definitely, and it's a difficult journey. Like, it is a very difficult journey for people, and it's very uncomfortable. Psychology was not comfortable, and it still isn't, but I do enjoy it now,
Okay.
because you actually learn what you want from yourself in terms to the person that you've created to be safe or keep going or whatever, because we all create a certain person in comparison to the person that I actually want to be.
Yeah.
For me, that's massive, yeah.
That's really interesting. And I think what's so interesting with this is it relates to the field that you're in PT, because psychology, and a sort of mentality, if we are low in ourselves, then we may never achieve our potential, because we're always held back by that sort of inner self, that inner child. But if we've identified that and then begun to heal that and grow that and willing to push it, it's like training, isn't it? You've got to train, you've got a little bit of pain, no pain, no gain, but you've got to push into psychotherapy to get the person you want to be, but you've got to be prepared to lift the lid.
Yeah, it's completely like exercising, your brain essentially is a muscle, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you had some other experiences then. I know you went off to America to try and find yourself and move on. How did that go?
It was good. Went to America, was coaching football.
So not American football?
No,
so
you don't want me
football.
coaching American football.
Soccer, right.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Had a great time.
How long were you there?
Close to a year.
Okay.
Close to a year, yeah. So met some fantastic people there as well. I think I was just kind of hoping to find something elsewhere that I didn't have at home.
Did you find it?
No.
Okay, so
No.
So what happened then?
So I came home. I missed home. I did miss home. I came home, decided I needed a little bit more education. I got back into personal training when I got home, and I was working very, very long hours, reaching the max that I could possibly do. I was probably doing about 35 hours of PT a week.
Wow,
which is a lot.
That's a
lot of
how do you
PT.
recover from that? I mean, were you always tired?
I was knackered. Yeah, that's
Okay.
what it was. I was absolutely exhausted, and I must have got a little depressed looking back at it, because I was thinking there has to be more to life than this. So I decided to go to university, which is something that I never wanted to actually do originally, and something that I never thought I could do actually. And went to university, ended up getting a first-class degree, was working full-time, and yeah.
So you totally bossed that one.
Yeah, with some
Amazing.
late nights and some tears, but did.
Good job. So you're a grafter. I can tell that.
Yeah.
So then, tell me about the process of becoming an entrepreneur. You did, you did this first-class degree.
Yeah.
What led you into setting up your own business?
I suppose it's something that I always wanted to do. I just didn't have the belief in myself at times to do it. And then I had a fantastic person come into my life who really believed in me. And, they said, if you want to go down this route of setting your own practice up and trying to help others, then let's explore it. And, they're my business mentor and great friend now, and
fantastic.
That's really helped us set up Try Wellness.
It's so good to have people who believe in you.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like, a couple of times in my life, I had a couple of people who just thought I was worth investing in, and it made all the difference.
I think that's it. I think you need people to believe in you sometimes more than sometimes you believe in yourself as well.
Well, I think they can see the potential.
Yeah.
And for us, we may be limited by that, outdated template of what we're capable of. So it's really hard to believe that you can do these big hairy goals that we set for ourselves.
Yeah.
And you need someone to go, no, you can, and I'll back you to do it.
Yeah.
And then it makes you raise your game, doesn't it?
But that's it. And it's like I said at the start, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But then you've got people there supporting you going, well, This is how you do it.
Yeah, and you learn, and you learn on the job. I always talk about building the plane whilst flying it. You take off in an absolute rattle trap, and you end up with a fighter jet. Hopefully, that's the plan without crashing.
That's the goal.
Sometimes you might land a few times in the meantime for repairs.
For petrol.
Yeah. So. We're very similar in our outlook towards health, and I love that you're really integrated and holistic. One of the things I know that you're interested in is breathwork. Tell me more about breathwork.
I love it. Breathwork's changed my life. Like, I'm not even exaggerating from that sense. I've always felt very dissociated from myself.
Yeah.
I think that's from the trauma, understanding it a bit more. But like even stuff like touch, and I've always felt like not quite there with it.
Yeah.
And breathworkers, they've really helped me be present with myself and tune into my body, but tune into my emotions and my feelings. So do you know when someone asks you, how are you? And your just natural response is, yeah, I'm okay.
Yeah, it's like that English finitis.
Yeah.
I'm fine, yeah.
Yeah. Now I actually go, no, I'm not okay. Or, you know what I mean? I tune into myself a bit more.
Yeah.
And it's the power of just having that breath to be able to do that. And I think breathwork can be seen as doing like all this like hypertropic things to get a massive trauma release, which can be great, but it's really about like how we're breathing on a daily basis to produce more oxygen, be better in ourselves, be calmer in ourselves.
Yeah.
And
the things that we regularly do, we become.
Yeah.
So we're all breathing all the time.
I mean,
let's hope we do it properly. But no one teaches you to breathe. There's so many different types of breath work. What's your favourite? What kind of things are you doing?
So I do very light and deep breathing.
Okay.
I've been on various courses learning about it, because when I started to do it, I was like, I need to get consumed in this as I do. So I've done like the Wim Hof style, shamanic style breath work, which is really powerful in our session.
It's quite aggressive, isn't it? It brings out a lot of adrenaline.
Yeah, and it does bring out a lot of, but then you are going into hypoxia, which you don't want to be doing too much, obviously. And then the kind of oxygen advantage style, which I've done recently, which was absolutely fantastic. I talk highly about it because it is that being able to just monitor your breath on a daily basis and notice how you're breathing.
Okay, so you're just getting that little extra advantage, just always having a little bit of extra oxygenation.
So it's like your minute, like working on that minute volume of respiratory rate times tidal volume, and how are you speed and the amount you're breathing in. Yeah, how are you doing it correctly?
Brilliant. I mean, and Dr. Finley's, we got a breath coach in on the podcast as well, Beth, and she's a physio, breath coach, and a sort of Pilates yoga instructor. So she's got all those things in one. I'm like, and it's so good to have that as part of the team, isn't it?
Yeah,
and I know
amazing.
You're a big fan of this too.
Oh, it's huge. It's become a huge passion.
Definitely. And it's funny because I think I came across this in lockdown when I had long COVID. For me, I had massive anxiety because I couldn't do things I normally could do. And the only thing that helped me was getting in freezing cold water and doing deep breathing. Yeah. I know you're a fan of cold water as well. We're nutters, aren't we?
I am, yeah. I think it's brilliant. I think cold water therapy, like, and I'm going to say this because I'm like, health, I'm like, and same as you, like, sometimes I do feel like if you're very anxious though, you shouldn't be diving into cold water, because you know what it's like, your stress response is just going to go, oh my God.
It might be too much.
And if you don't know how to breathe correctly and regulate that.
I think you need that supervision and the understanding of what you're doing. Yeah. I wouldn't recommend anyone with super anxiety just to go and leap into cold water, because they might actually drown.
Oh, that's it.
They might have a panic attack. Yeah. You've got to do this sensibly, haven't you?
Yeah.
I did it for the first time under sort of controlled conditions with my PT, after doing some serious breath work, and it really helped. But
so powerful. Yeah,
and I like cold water swimming in the sea and stuff, but I wouldn't have just naturally gone and just sat in a cold tank on my own. No. I had to be guided. So I think you're right. Anyone with severe anxiety or mental health issues, get some supervision first from a breath coach like we have in both our companies.
Yes, definitely. But it's the psychology behind it, I think, that's like, you don't want to do it.
No, and then when you do it, you feel so alive, don't you?
Yeah.
tell me about your recent diagnosis, if you don't mind me.
No, yeah.
About that.
So, you know, I've been having psychology for over 6 years now, and a year ago I changed psychologist and found someone who I knew and, you know, wanted just a bit of a variation. She diagnosed us with ADHD, which now that I look at it, I go, how did I not know this?
Lots of people are thinking that. I think it's just really coming to the fore, isn't it, as more of a natural part of our neurology.
Yeah.
And so many people have traits, right?
But do you think that's because of distractions?
So I think distractions have accentuated that and it becomes more obvious. But I actually think quite a lot of people have those ADHD traits, some of them really severely, some of them less severely. But you know, you mentioned how you never felt like you were inside your body.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a classic ADHD trait.
No, definitely.
And some of us have that dissociation. So I think it's really important to get a diagnosis, but then you've got to work out what you do with it.
Yeah.
You know, because actually a lot of ADHD type people are incredibly productive, but also vulnerable to crashes and burnout. And so only recently, Dr. Fillings have just launched our ADHD diagnosis treatment service. So we're using, kind of psychiatrists to get the formal diagnosis, follow up with psychology like you've done, and then covering like the nutrition and the lifestyle stuff to go with it, because we know it's not just all about medication, but we do the medication bit as well, obviously.
Yeah.
Did you have any trouble getting a diagnosis? Because I know some people struggle getting a diagnosis and getting treatment.
Well, I mean, you can get referred, obviously, if you've got private healthcare, which luckily I do.
Yeah.
So I didn't. I think it's, like you said, ADHD, and it's become a lot wider. There's a lot more understanding about it, and the people that might have ADHD, and it's really, I think the diagnosis has really helped me be more productive as well.
Can you push into that? Because I mean, a lot of people with ADHD find that physical exercise is really good.
Yeah.
Do you think that's one of the reasons that drew you to physical exercise?
Yeah, I think it's a part of it. Yeah, it's something to do.
Yeah, be active. Yeah,
because I get bored easily. I can't sit still. I just thought that was me, if that makes sense. So yeah, it probably is an element of it. I suppose back when I started training when I was 18 properly, it was about feeling better in myself.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I started training, because I wanted to appear externally.
Yeah. In good shape. Yeah.
In better shape, if I'm being honest.
And I think those thought loops you talked about earlier, where you get stuck in your own thoughts, a lot of that can come with neurodifferent thinking, where you get into those thought patterns you can't break out of.
Yeah.
And that's where, I don't know, did you find psychology useful for that?
Yeah, massively. It's rumination on a lot of stuff, isn't it?
That's the word.
You tend to overthink about the littlest of things sometimes, and then your brain can just go into a bit of a spiral, and a lot of people call that anxiety. It can be, and it might just be neurodiversity at the same point.
Yeah, or sort of thought storm. Are you one of those people who's sort of aware of everything going on all the time?
So I could be talking to you, but I could be listening to a conversation over there at the same time.
Absolutely.
And it's very uncomfortable to do that, because you just want to be, like I said, present.
Exactly.
That's where the breathwork has helped me actually just go.
So it brings you into your body in this conversation now, and that's really interesting that breathwork's actually brought you to that. Yeah. What do you think about medication for ADHD and that kind of thing?
I think if you can manage it if you can learn tools and techniques to manage it in the best way possible, and do all the right things, like you said, good nutrition, speak to a nutritionist that knows what foods you should probably be consuming to maybe help you calm down or get better sleep or whatever it might be, and then exercise, breathwork. But I suppose you're the doctor.
Well, not everyone needs medicine. I'm curious to know from your point of view. I mean, I think you just basically gave my pitch for the clinic. Basically, we do everything, and then sometimes medication on top.
I think it should be the last course, in my opinion. Like, you try and do everything you can to make sure you are the best version of yourself.
What would your advice be to anyone who thinks they've got ADHD or has just been diagnosed with ADHD?
Probably find out a little bit more about it, see what similarities they can see in themselves to what they're researching as well, and then to use those tools and techniques, like I said about the training, breathwork, nutritional advice that works correctly for that person, I suppose.
Now, you were already seeing a psychologist when this happened. You'd already taken action. Do you think psychology is an important part of this sort of process?
100%, yeah. So your psychologist helps you, like I said, understand yourself a lot more, understand your traits and your behaviours. So they can help you unwrap it as well, and then maybe direct you in the best direction to say, maybe do this, or maybe try that, or maybe do this. And then it's kind of like just planting them foundations for you to just grow on.
Interesting. And you're a man who's been diagnosed with ADHD. We know in women it can present quite differently. So if you are looking for someone, find a psychologist who actually understands your presentation is also the bit I would say.
Yeah.
Because I think often we look at this and we think neurodifference, these things are mainly male, but actually there's a load of females there who are just undiagnosed and struggling with the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, you probably see it in the playground, don't you? Like the male kids are just running around like throwing stuff, doing everything, and the girls might be quieter with it as well.
Like masking.
Yeah. So definitely finding someone who understands the difference between female and male is very important.
So you asked about why do we have so much ADHD coming out now? I think there is a lot of unprocessed trauma because of the way that our society is. We don't talk that much or have time to talk, and so there may be a lot of unprocessed trauma in younger people, and that can accentuate and potentiate ADHD traits. Yeah. Then you lay on top of that all the sort of mobile technology, just all of that. Do you find it hard to get away from your phone?
I do find it hard to get away from my phone.
Do you have time? How do you manage
I try
it?
not to be on my phone as much as I possibly can. Yeah. I have a cut-off point on an evening.
Okay.
Me and Lauren will just often say, when we're having an evening, when I get home from work, we're sometimes like 8 o'clock. We only got 2 hours together. It's like, let's spend some quality time. Yeah. Together rather than spending it on our phones. And
because otherwise you're just like sat there doing something else.
Yeah, and then the effects of that is rubbish sleep and rubbish relationship, and
it's all downhill from there, isn't it?
Everything that goes with it.
Phones have got a lot to answer for, haven't they, basically? Now, you rated yourself 8 out of 10 for your health. That's the highest score we've had on the podcast so far. But I'm interested because you work long hours. Right?
I feel like I should have gone low with it now.
No, you've got to justify it now, right? So tell me, how do you balance out those long hours of work with the right amount of rest? I mean, because quite a lot of your work is it fairly physical?
Yeah, majority of it's physical. I'm starting to step back from the physical training with people as much and dive into the business development work a bit more. But I try and always get 7.5 hours sleep. That's something that I never used to do and really noticed the burnout.
Interesting.
I used to get when I was at university and working full time, I was only getting about 5 to 6 hours sleep, and I couldn't function on that.
No, it takes its toll in the end, doesn't it?
Oh I was overly stressed. So if I can get minimum of 7.5 hours sleep, train every day, just have 10 minutes at least to do some breathing. If I would do them 3 things, I feel like
Amazing. And do you do your breath work like first thing in the morning? Are you training first thing in the morning? Are you a 5 a.m. man?
I am a 5 a.m. man, but I actually walk the dog first thing in the morning.
That's good mindful activity. Walking is very productive, isn't it?
Yeah, so
interesting.
I have to take him for a walk. I've got in the routine of it now. And for me it's good, just to go out for half an hour and walk the dog. Then I'll train afterwards around 6 a.m. for an hour or so.
So an hour's training at 6 a.m?
Yeah, and then start with clients about 7.
Okay.
Unless I've got clients otherwise. And then probably work till about 7, 8 p.m. on the evening.
Wow, so you're actually doing 11 hours of work?
Yeah.
That's about 55, 60 hours a week. We're talking work-life balance. How's that working for you, Rob?
All right, I suppose. Could be better. I obviously want to work less, where I can. I suppose it's your passion that drives you to keep on working as much as you do. But I know for my own health, sleep, all the benefits, I should probably be doing less.
There we go. I think you just gave yourself a piece of advice there. So it might be that over the next year, maybe my advice to you is structure look at your self plan as part of the business plan. And this is what my mentor's done for me, because I always had a plan for every part of my business but myself. So structure that as to how are you going to have that time back for yourself in this. I know you love what you do, but that might be really helpful.
No, that's really good advice. I think you do tend to just look at the business rather than yourself a lot of the time, and yeah.
Is there any area of your health you want to work on? I, as a doctor, I'm always looking for the thing I can offer some tips on. Is there any area that you're wondering about?
I suppose I always just want to better my mental health. Like, I still get anxious. Like, doing this now, I still feel anxious. I don't know why. But you still get those symptoms.
You do. It's stage, it's nerves. Yeah.
So I suppose it's just normalising that feeling for me would always be probably the best thing, working on my mental health and what I can do to...
Yeah, brilliant. And mental health, if you've got the mindset, you can, I think, achieve your potential, and you've let go of the stuff in the past. I would say, I think your story really illustrates the benefit of psychological therapy as an intervention that anyone should try, especially someone who's trying to be high performance.
Yeah.
Right, and you're a high performing guy, no doubt about it. Look at what you've done. 4 years, you've built a massive company, you're doing really well, but you're honest about it and you're bringing yourself to the table. So I would say you're a work in progress. My mentor always says to me, every day, remind yourself you're a work in progress, because it keeps you humble, but B, it doesn't allow yourself to put yourself on a pedestal that you can't achieve. And so there's always opportunities to learn.
Yeah.
I love that phrase that says, like, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time we're just having to learn. Do you do that? Do you do any sort of mindset stuff? I have this little thing that I say, what would you say to yourself today in the morning?
Yeah.
And on some days when you just don't feel very confident, you don't feel like you can take on the world, you're a little bit beaten up about something, you don't know what it is, an encouraging phrase to yourself.
Yeah.
And I write that down. Did you journaling, that kind of thing?
Do affirmations.
Affirmations, brilliant.
Yeah, so I'll do affirmations on a daily basis, so that's part of that morning walk routine.
Yeah.
Of just saying the same things in my head over and over.
So positive self-talk,
I am strong, I am confident, whatever it might be, but just to, make you feel strong, good, set you up for the day.
And that's going to set you up. It's going to tell your brain, your subconscious, that you can do these things. You're more likely to achieve them, we know from evidence of that. Now, I understand, we're coming to the end of our talk now. This has been a really interesting chat. You're a fantastic entrepreneur. You've done well. And I hear there's some good news in your personal life coming up as well.
Yes, very soon. Very soon I'm getting married.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so Lauren, she's absolutely amazing, made a massive difference in my life, and it's right.
That's brilliant. Oh, well, look, I hope all your plans for the wedding go well. It's been really interesting talking to you today. So I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
And that's all we've got time for today on Health versus Wealth with Dr. Ben. We look forward to you joining us for more episodes like this in the future. So I do hope you enjoyed today's episode of Health versus Wealth with Dr. Ben. And I hope it may help you improve your life and health. You can also take one easy step by achieving that right now by subscribing free on your usual podcast platform. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me on podcast@drfinlays.co.uk. I hope you'll join me again, but for now it's goodbye from me, Dr. Ben.